wanted to be here because I wanted to ask the driver to have mercy. I'm 21 years old and I had the life of love. I was always here for everyone and I wanted to do what most people wanted to do. Work and just have the best life I could, and now I can't walk. I barely survived. I don't know if I will be able to walk again. And I can't move my hands. I can't talk. And I can't enjoy a life where, as a man, I feel less of than everyone else. Do you know what that's like to feel? I'm not mad at you for hitting me because people do make accidents and I don't want to see you get into any trouble. I just want you to be responsible for what you did to me, for what changes you made to my life, and it's gonna be changed like this forever. I may not have the life that I wanted, but I'm thankful to be alive. I just want you to be responsible, please. That's all.
What do you remember from that night?
I don't remember anything. My last memory was a week before. My head hurts when I try to think about it, and I try not to.
And this is Mom beside you here?
Yes, it is.
Mom, can you comment a little bit on how it is to see your son come out here and speak today?
It's not easy. It's not easy since this accident for me to see my son go through this. My son used to be a jolly child, wanting to live. He just got the job that he loved and he enjoyed. And he is, as the officers say, a very responsible young man. He did had a few drinks that night and chose not to drive. And now this is what his results is.
In terms of recovery, how is that going?
It's
I've
good.
been in bed for a month, and I'm not allowed to walk because my pelvis is broken into 3 pieces. My hip shattered into more than 26 pieces. I can breathe, but I can't breathe deeply because there was a hole in my lung. And my liver was bleeding. And my nerves are damaged due to my neck. I have no feelings in my feet, but I can move them, luckily. My damages are bad, and I have to thank God that I'm alive, because not many are lucky to be alive. And I want him to turn himself in. I know I'm going back to this, but not because I want justice for myself, but I want to prevent those who haven't yet been affected. And there's been a lot that's been affected. I don't have a lot of insurance, and I may not get any. I do want to ask to support my GoFundMe page, because I do have a lot of medical bills that, as a single mother, my mom may not be able to afford it on her own. I used to try to work to help her as a son, and now I can't. And she needs help, and I do need help as well. I have a picture of a screw going across my back. A screw that's the only thing that's keeping me together. Like broken toys. I'm not ready, and I'm scared to even try to recover. And walking is now a goal that's far from reach. It's a goal that I may never be able to reach. And if I am, I'm thankful for that as well. And I'm thankful for the hospitals that kept me alive, especially St. Michael's Hospital. If it hadn't been for the person who found me, I wouldn't be here today. And as the victim, I'd like to thank him from the bottom of my heart.
Have you had a chance to meet that witness at all? Who was there, who was with you?
No,
No? So is there anything more that you would want to say to him?
I just want to say thank you, because if it wasn't for you, all that you've done, I wouldn't be here today. And I know sometimes people feel like they can do more, and they feel bad because they think they haven't done enough. But I'm here and I'm alive, and I'm able to say thank you to you. And I want to say you have done enough. You've done more than you can do.
It's irresponsible for you to have a second life.
And you gave me the chance to have a second life. And to possibly be the person, be that smiling person I was again.
Navindra, what's now giving you strength to keep going?
My family. My family gives me the strength that I need. It's not easy to think what I'm going through mentally. I sit in the hospital every day. I can't get out of bed. And in the night, it's worse because I'm sitting alone. I'm suffering from insomnia. I'm seeing flashes and shadows and kickbacks of partial memory. I'm crying and I'm suffering and I'm scared. I don't sleep all day and I don't sleep all night. And I'm depressed. I'm depressed because I think about the things I could have done that now I can merely dream of doing. The things like picking up a cup or talking and laughing like I used to. Maybe breathing like I used to.
Can your little sister
Is there anything also with this person? I mean, there's got to be some rage or
I'm a person with a big heart, and I've always been. And you know, people say that revenge and rage is usually what goes through the mind of another, and I think that it's wrong. It's wrong to hate because you've been hurt, and it hurts you more. You should forgive the person because it's happened already and it's not going to change. Come to accept that the fact that it's already happened, and there's no point in hurting somebody else just because you're hurt. Maybe just ask. Maybe if you ask nicely enough, they'll accept it. But I'm depressed because I have an 8-year-old sister, and I remember when she'd come home, or I'd pick her up from school, and I'd be able to laugh and teach her and pick her up and help her with her homework, even just sign her agenda. Now I can't. I don't see her. And it hurts because I don't feel like I'm a part of my family anymore, because I'm just alone in my little hospital room with visitors, and no, I don't feel loved because it's just temporary. When they're all gone, I'm back to being alone, back to thinking about the fact that I'm less of a man because I can't do what any of you can.
did doctors give you a long-term prognosis as to whether recovery will be long?
My long-term, generally speaking, would be minimum 2 years, and maybe more. maybe I won't be able to walk properly again. And you've said that, my doctors have said that I shouldn't expect the best of myself, but don't give up on myself. And I'm not. It's hard to think that I can go through this because I'm strong and I've been strong. But I can't go through this alone. I need the support of each and every one of you. From
How difficult was it for you?
you know, I know I can't sleep because I think all night. But yesterday, I didn't sleep because of my anxiousness. It was hard, and it is hard to speak to, all of Toronto or all of whoever I'm speaking to, all of the people who are watching and supporting me. But it's easy to speak to the person who hit me because I've already came to the fact to accept that this is my only shot, my only chance to tell him to have mercy on me, to show him what I'm looking like, to tell him I have a scar that's about 18 inches across my body, a bolt inside my body that's holding me together like a puzzle piece, to tell him that half of my hip, all of my hip is titanium. My neck is in the progress of healing, and I'm hoping to God I don't have to do another surgery.
Well, can you tell us how you're feeling? I mean, it's gotta be so difficult to watch your son and that you've cared for your whole life suffering like this. Can you just tell us what's going through your mind, your heart right now?
I know my son says that he forgive and he don't hold anybody in mind. But for me, I am angry because as a mother, I promised my kids that I would protect them. I would always be there for them. I have been a single mother. Navindra's father left me when Navindra was only 5 years old. And I had another son who was only 2 years old. And I bring up 4 kids. I bring them up all by myself. I take pride in bringing up my kids. I love my kids, and I never wanted them to, if they fall and get a bruise, I would cry. I took very, very good care. Seeing him like this now, especially knowing that somebody out there is responsible for it, and I can't do anything about it, it hurts. It really hurts. I am not going to beat anybody or want anybody to get into big trouble for this, but stand up to your responsibility because accidents happen, and this was an accident. I know this was a genuine accident, but leaving him there to die was a choice. That wasn't an accident.
Yes. Many of our victims don't survive the impact, and that's probably why we don't do this more often. We invited you here today to discuss an ongoing fail-to-remain collision investigation that occurred last month in Brampton. That collision left one man, Navindra, with serious life-altering injuries. We are appealing to the community in hopes that anyone may recognize the suspect vehicle or have information identifying the driver, or perhaps the driver, him or herself, may be watching, and that they come forward and surrender to police. On Sunday, March 17th, 2019, at approximately 4:30 a.m., a male pedestrian had collapsed in the southbound curb lane of traffic on West Drive, south of Clark Boulevard in the city of Brampton. The male was ill at the time and was on the ground. He was in the process of trying to stand up when he was struck by a southbound vehicle. The collision was witnessed by a citizen who was traveling southbound just prior to this incident. The witness observed Navindra in the roadway and swerved to avoid him. That witness made a U-turn and returned to the side of the roadway beside Navindra and was encouraging him to get off the road. He also observed another southbound vehicle, and he began to flash his high beams at that approaching vehicle. The vehicle did not stop and collided with Navindra, who was in the process of standing up. It is possible that the driver was unaware that there was a pedestrian in the road as he approached the scene. There is minor damage to the front right corner of the bumper of the vehicle. We are appealing to the driver of this vehicle to come forward and contact us immediately. The victim, Navindra Sookramsingh, is 21 years old. He's from Brampton. He remains in hospital where he is rehabilitating from serious life-altering injuries. His injuries consisted of shattered hips, pelvis, ribs, and vertebrae in his neck. He also suffered multiple internal injuries. He will undergo a long road to recovery. The vehicle involved is described as a 2003 to 2007 Toyota Corolla. We have a still image from the video, and we have an exemplar vehicle so that the public can see what we are looking for. We also have a video of the vehicle just prior to and subsequent to the collision. A team of dedicated investigators from the Major Collision Bureau has been and continues to work hard on this investigation. We're trying to identify the person or persons involved in this collision, and we need the community's help. If you think you can identify this vehicle, or if you think you know anything about this collision, we ask you to please contact the Major Collision Bureau. Our number is 905-453-3311, extension 3710. If you want to remain anonymous, you can also contact Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Thank you.
Do you have are you prepared for this?
I'm
Okay.
ready for questions.
Do you have any lead on who was the driver of the vehicle at the time?
We have no information on who the driver of the vehicle is. We have no information on the vehicle itself. We know what vehicle we are looking for, what type of vehicle, but we don't know what vehicle it is. We have done a Ministry of Transportation search of registered Toyota Corollas in just the Brampton area, and we're well into the thousands. It's kind of akin to looking for a needle in a pile of needles. We're looking for a particular Toyota Corolla, and that's why we need the public's assistance.
So you weren't able to make out the license plate?
None of our video sources identified the license plate, so no, we are not able to make out the license plate. The reason for our appeal right now is somebody has seen this vehicle. One of your neighbors has come home with a car with some very minor front-end damage. It may be related to this. You may hold the key to solving this collision.
Is there anything that Navindra wants to say? I mean, this is very rare that we see a victim attend a press conference. Is there?
Yeah, it's important that we humanize the fact that this is a collision. Too often we hear in the media the day-to-day events of collisions and pedestrians getting struck. It's important that the community recognizes who we're dealing with. We're dealing with human beings. So Navindra is here to assist us, and he is available to answer questions at the conclusion of this press conference.
What is it that you'd like to say to the person who let Navindra lie in the road?
Well, we recognize that fear is probably the primary motivator for causing you to leave. We need your help. We need you to come forward and identify yourself to us. You know that this has happened, and now you see what has occurred as a result of your actions that night. It's time to come forward and ease your conscience, and it's probably a good idea to get a lawyer and turn yourself in.
Do we have more of an idea of, I mean, Navindra was in the road at 4:30 in the morning, one person urged him to get off the road. Do we have more context around?
Sure, I can give you some context about that. Yeah, Navindra had been out at a party that evening. It was both a birthday party and a St. Patrick's Day party. He had been drinking. He had an automobile. And as a very responsible 19-year-old man, he chose to put the keys in his pocket and walk home. He was walking home. He had been drinking. He became ill. He was disoriented. He was in the road, and he got struck. All of that tends to point to Navindra placed himself in a position where the collision occurred. What we need now is for the person that did this to do what is required by law. The Highway Traffic Act says that any person involved in a motor vehicle collision must stop, offer assistance to any person injured, and provide their name and insurance information. This driver stopped momentarily, but didn't do any of the other two requirements under the law. And Navindra was truly in need.
And the witness who was there at the time didn't see the person who was in the vehicle?
No, the witness that was there at the time did not see the driver, and the witness was limited by some physical limitations of his own. He was incapable of getting out of his vehicle due to a partially amputated foot he was undergoing at the time. It was if you can imagine, it was a conglomeration of bad things occurring all at the same time. He wasn't able to get out. He wasn't able to pull him off the road. He wasn't able to do more to help.
So he saw it all unfold, and how is he doing now, seeing that?
He watched the entire collision unfold, and I can tell you, he remained at the scene for several hours. He assisted us as best he could, and he has been interviewed since the collision. And you know, to say he's doing fine would be an overstatement of the facts. He's feeling a sense of guilt and remorse, something that he couldn't do anything about.
What kind of charges could the driver face?
Well, we're still in the investigation is still at a point where we don't know why that person left the scene. So we need to get the driver. We need to identify all the facts surrounding the case. We need to identify what evidence there is to substantiate a criminal offense. And at that point in time, a determination will be made on charges, if any. I mean, the potential is there for possibly fail to remain. Other than that, we can't speak about any other charges.
How wide are we casting this net beyond Peel Region? Are you asking people in Toronto to look for this vehicle? Are you asking people, you know, far north to look for this vehicle?
We're asking people that see this broadcast, wherever they are, to look for this vehicle. To think back, to cast your mind back to March 17th, the weekend right around St. Patrick's Day. And if you saw one of your neighbors come home and park their car, or if their Toyota Corolla disappeared for a period of time and then appeared, please call us. We will take it from there. And we will do what we need to do in order to determine if that vehicle is related or not related. Everybody has a duty to assist the police, and we're asking people to do their civic duty and help us.
Can we talk a little bit about Navindra's recovery? Where does that stand? Is he learning to walk? Rehabilitation, excuse me, that sort of thing.
I could speak in very broad terms. Navindra is a very articulate young man, and he can speak for himself, and you can ask him those questions. I imagine you'll have to arrange for miking him up. I'm sure we could do that. But yes, you can ask him those questions. I can tell you that at this point in time, he still will need to have the two vertebrae in his neck, so he's got a C6 and C7 vertebrae separation that need to be reevaluated in about a month's time. A determination will be made as to whether or not there's going to be additional surgeries there. He's had a complete hip replacement of the left hip. That's about an 8-inch rod driven into the head of the femur with a complete hip ball joint assembly reattached. He has about a 10-inch bolt that transects his body, that goes from the left side of his pelvis to the right side of his pelvis. It's uncertain if he'll ever be able to weight bear again. He's got a long road ahead of him, on top of the internal injuries and the surgeries that he's already had. He's got a lot to go through.